Cruisers, it's time for an update with Bunny, where I'm going to share with you guys some of the things she's working on and a lot of the fun that's going on. So first up, this is Ryan riding Bunny and working on some of her jumping skills. And it's turned out that Bunny loves to jump, and she's actually pretty handy with her feet. So even though she's a quarter horse, which are not known for being, amazing jumpers, and it's not like we're trying to take her to the Grand Prix or anything like that, but she loves going over for the jump, super honest, doesn't matter if she gets a good spot or a bad spot. This is one of our coaches that's riding her right now, and then I'll show you guys a little video in a bit of a student riding her instead, so you can see the difference. And one of the things when we're working on teaching a horse how to jump is we really try to stay out of their way, stay off their back, stay away from their face so they can lower their head or lift their backs, all those kinds of things when they're jumping. So we don't pick on them for how they want to move. And then we just kind of let them learn and go from there. And this is taking a look at trying to do some lead changes with Bunny. So introducing a bit of a bow tie pattern to Bunny and getting out of her way, allowing her the freedom to figure out her feet. So there's definitely some things you can do to support a horse through the lead change. You can cue their shoulders over or their hips, all these little pieces. But this is an exercise that kind of uses the pattern of changing direction and having the wall for the change of the lead to try to help them with that. So you got to see a little bit of a change of lead on the previous one. So here she actually starts off on the left lead. Now she's going with the right legs, and you can see that with the right side there, it just swapped to the left in the front end, but didn't quite get her booty in gear. So instead of stopping or doing something to scold her, we don't do that. We just kind of keep going and try to let her feel the imbalance. And so the idea is that learning can be ugly, but ugly in a good way, because if you allow them the opportunity to feel that wasn't right, then they can switch it on their own. They can realize it'd be better if I swapped. So there she swapped. And so here we're going to try switching. So she's on the left, and then look for the change to go to the right. Right there, she swapped both the front and the back legs to the right. And so then that's a good time to slow down and pat her, give her a cookie, and tell her she's a superstar. So even though it doesn't look pretty, it helps them learn their natural balance and figure out that the change is a good thing. And then here's a little look at some gymnastics work, which is where they do a bunch of jumps in a row. So she's doing great, being super handy with her feet, going through all of that, as well as jumping fences on an angle. And you'll notice that the jumps are kept pretty small, and that's because we want to make sure she doesn't injure herself, and we want her to feel comfortable when she's learning. And then as she's getting it, we pick them up to verticals like that. And you can see she just goes through like a total breeze, picking up her feet and figuring out what it is that she's supposed to do. So here coming into another line of jumps, figuring out her striding is really important, meaning the space between the jumps to how to adjust her stride, meaning how she steps between them. And then here's a look at her doing some groundwork lessons. So Bunny has been doing some training stuff and then also been participating in lessons that are both riding and groundwork. So I thought I'd include a little clip of her doing a groundwork lesson where they were learning how to move different body parts essentially. So doing some of the things like backing up, sideways, maneuvering the forehand, the haunches, all of those pieces. And I think it's a super important thing to help people understand that the more we can understand our horse and communicate with our horse on the ground, that actually helps us in the saddle as well, because you start off with understanding each other and already kind of understanding those boundaries, the communication, where the cues are, how much pressure your horse likes, how much pressure your horse does not like, what they like for their reward. And then here's a cool clip of this person learning how to lunge and work on their lunging skills. So being able to send the horse out. And one of the things that's really key here is that you keep your body in a forward momentum or a forward driving posture. So you'll notice that the human always is stepping forward through the circle, which is a good thing. And then when it's time to ask your horse to come back to you, you're going to step backwards to invite that horse to come. And it's important to know the difference between drive and draw. I see it a lot where people are backing up away from their horse to try to give their horse more space, but then it causes this problem of the horse being super confused, because that's actually a natural cue for the horse to draw and to come. And so here, using a little jump to help give a little bit of direction for getting that energy up, trying to position your circle such that the horse goes out and over the jump, and then being able to invite your horse back in, because it's important to start to put all of these pieces together. And I love using visuals to help with people understanding, get your horse to go out this far and you stay over there, and to see that it's working versus when it's not, and also the importance of getting that energy up as well, which isn't about smacking your horse or just making them go. A lot of it has to do with picking our own energy up and projecting that confidence and that energy to our horse, because our body posture definitely matters with our horse to show them what it is that we're looking to do. And then I included this little clip here because after we complete an exercise, we usually pause and we have a little bit of a debrief, and you can just see Bunny stands super politely and super chill, and she's like, yep, I'll just be patient. And then here I wanted to include a clip of her riding with the big blue tarp for the very first time. And I've shared some other little clips earlier on in some other videos, so I just included her cantering video, which there she picked up a crossfire canter, so she had to break transition there and try again to get that left canter lead. But this is cantering over the tarp for the first time, and Bunny kind of barely looks at it and just continues on and is very happy to do so. Makes a big difference when we're using positive reinforcement, giving our horses rewards for doing the things that we ask, and then they don't see these tarps as these scary things. Like Cadbury is seeing it as a scary thing for the very first time, and I was mostly not focusing on him. I was focusing on the other horses, so that way he could go at his own leisure. And you can see they can start off scared and unsure, but when we can pair that with, you go over the blue tarp, you get a cookie, or you go on the blue tarp, you get a cookie, it can create a horse that's willing to try and not so overwhelmed at seeing new things, which we can all relate to. I think that if things that are challenging, if there's some type of reward or praise in the process, then it's no longer ridiculously scary or cause all that anxiety to us when we're trying to learn. Now, this video clip here, I apologize that the lighting's not so good there at the start, just because it was so bright outside and just the way the lighting was coming in. But this is Bunny riding with a student going over a jump course. They're hoping to do some competition this year in jumping, which is very exciting, likely in the hunter rings. We love to start students off in the hunters because it prioritizes getting the good strides, because that was a chip, as you may know, and figuring out the leads, going into the corners, making sure that things are straight and safe for the horse. And I love that you can see with Bunny, even though there's scary looking jumps, we've got all sorts of different fillers underneath to try to get them ready for going to a show, that sometimes there's good spots, sometimes there are not good takeoff spots, but Bunny is very honest and just kind of goes no matter what. Then when I say takeoff spots, part of that has to do with the rider learning to develop an eye for the stride. So when they're doing their strides, 1, 2, 3, 4, like that was a little bit of a long spot, not bad, but a little bit of a long spot. You want to be able to see that, and if your horse looks like they're going to chip, meaning they're going to get too close to the jump's base, or it's going to be a long spot, then you either want to push your horse into a bigger stride or hold them into a smaller stride, so that way they get a better takeoff spot. Because when a horse is cantering around, there's that moment of suspension where they're in the air and they can't jump from that spot. So it's about learning that timing. But let me know what you guys think of Bunny's update, and let me know the favorite part. Thanks for watching. Remember to subscribe and check out harmonyhorsemanship.com for even more learning.